Well, I did something wrong. That one went off. But anyway, I'll pick it up again. I'm not sure any of this is going to go up this one or if it's even doing any good. So, I'm in Grotto's pumping gas. And I want to say this, and this is when the Haysom murders happened. And Jens Orings, I had, when I was in the campaign in Atlanta, April, I'm sorry, excuse me, back up. Campaign to replace Larry McDonald, plane went down August the 31st of 83. So this September and October, I was working at the Temp, Hawkins Temp Agency, and I was sent out to Lovett School or Lovell. It's a private school there that Jens Orings was in, and I used to write. Remember when I worked for the doctors, I used to write checks to that school, private school. It was in Marietta, I believe, was the address though, because their kids went there. But I was sent out there, and it was supposed to meet a student named Chad and Jens Orings. And I remember it was Diplomat's son and all that. So I worked for the few days I was there in the athletic department, the coach there. And I did meet one of them, and I don't think I met Jens. I met Chad. But anyway, later I'm up in Grotto's, and that's when the murders happened, the Haysom murders, in outside of Lynchburg, I believe. It's in Bedford County, right next door to Roanoke, where I am now. It happened April of '85, the murders. And here's Jens. Oh, Jens is in Buckingham, Virginia State Prison. Um, Elizabeth is in Goochland. These are mind control murders. They were done in patterns. They are victims themselves. And I might say that Updike, and I'm telling this, can you understand anybody the danger I'm in for telling the truth? And yet I'm in danger anyway, so either way I go, you know. I'm trying to live, and I would do it anyway. But the Sweeney and Updike was the prosecutor, Sweeney the judge. And by the way, the media all around here knows all of this about the mind control murders. They covered this extensively back then. Keith Humphrey, and he's retired now. He used to update it. So anyway, that was one of them. And before I forget, I've got let me go back in time. When that happened, I'm in Grotto's. And I'm cashiering and pumping gas at Reineke's. So I turned the car back in because the year's lease is up, and I have not spoken with Larry Flint. But I turned the car back in, and I end up on the street again, literally. So I'll skip to where I come up here to Roanoke in October of October of '86. And Bedford is next door where these murders were prosecuted, the Haysom murders and Jens Orings. Um, anyway, I get off the bus, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning here in Roanoke, and that's the British ladies waiting on me, and the bus station downtown is empty except for her and the cashier that's in there, and that's when she said, "We'll come back and get you here." Well, that was in October of '86. I go in the restroom, and I come back out, and she's gone. And I'm literally on the street, no place to go, no money for even coffee. So I guess they could have got me for being a vagrant. They'd got me for everything else. They made a pauper out of who should have been one of the wealthiest women going. um, anyway, they did it. It's been done. So I took to living, I'm put into begging to try to get a place to live. the rescue missions there, and you can stay a couple of nights. And literally, I was treated like a drug addict would be. I was made to go and view at these places where they have a night that you can stay. Actually, they don't want to hear that you wrote a book, even though I still had to show it, papers and everything to show what had happened to me, and the hustler, but nobody wanted to see that unless they wanted to see the porn in it. They weren't interested. So I'll make a long story short and say I couldn't get money except a few live-ins, and I took to living on the Appalachian Trail. It's cold and starving and as hard a life as that is. And I'm going to fast forward to the Rangers were used to run me. They locked me up on occasion. If you ever get into it, it's the dates that I was locked up in. Yes, they handcuffed me in the whole bit. I stayed in jail. TV covered that. They just didn't tell the truth about any of it. So, the dates they locked me up would coincide with the Waco, with the Oklahoma City bombing, and I can't remember the other then. But anyway, I wanted to go into, so I've been made like a nutcase, like the police run me. I've told it on the trail, and there were people who did listen, but nobody did anything about it. So I'm just going to say that February the 4th, I'm up on the shelter at Full Heart Knob. It's a lean-to. It's cold as heck. It's on top of the mountain, 2,400 feet up, very top of the mountain, and I walk up there just to have a place to be. Freezing to death. The wind whips up there through the cracks and hits your back, and you think you're freezing. No food, no. It's a lean-to. There's nothing to it hardly except a roof and three sides, and it's got snakes and everything else in there, mice, spiders. So I remember I stayed up there under bad times before in the winter to where the water was frozen. It had iced, and if I got out of the shelter, I was sliding to where on just ice. Afraid I was going to fall, and there's nobody up there but me, and iced in and everything. And the people all know it. They just want me gone, out of their sight, somewhere else. So somebody did come up that morning. It was snowing real heavily, but I'd been up there before when it was bad. And they said, there's a storm coming through. I think you might ought to come down. I'd like to have said to him, only I've learned over time, it doesn't matter what I say. Where in the heck do you think I'm going? That's the reason I'm up here. So anyway, I stayed. And it began, I could hear like guns going off, the cracking of the trees falling and all this. And there was trees right there at the shelter that were pretty big. And I even had one of them fall one time. I was up there in the spring, lightning hit it, and it fell. So I really should not have left. But it was bad. I mean, you couldn't tell. I mean, it's like being in a nightmare. The trees falling, iced over, ice and snow, and it's coming down. And I tried to run. Bad thing. I got down the incline, which I couldn't have gotten back up because my feet are falling through the ice and snow and sticking and freezing as I go. And there are trees over the trail, and the trail disappears. And I'm lost. You can't tell. This is a trail that I've been up and down so many times. I knew every rock in it, I thought. I don't know who led me. It's the only place that I could have lived. But I ended up, every tree had fallen, and I ended up in a spot that I had to put the tent down. My legs were freezing, and there was no way down. It was obliviated. There was no trail. You couldn't have gotten down it if I somehow could have followed the trail. And the trees were falling, snapping, and going, and I thought, God, I'm going to die at any moment. So I had to stop where I did and put the tent up. I had a little north face, and I put it up, and I thought from that night, the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, and fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, I was up there 4 nights. I froze. In the night, I'd wake up, and what I remember was hearing all this, cracking of trees falling, and you couldn't even see. The shelter was far, but not that far. There's no way I could have gotten back up there. But you couldn't even tell where it was. It was so bad. It's like out of a nightmare. And I'm in there, and there's this huge, I guess it's a pine tree it's where I had to finally stop. I didn't have a choice. And it's got this big, huge limb that looks like any minute it's going to come tumbling on me and spear me. I spent the nights there freezing, thinking I was going to die. If a tree didn't fall on me, I was going to freeze to death. Finally, on the morning of the 8th, I thought, I've got to get down. It had stopped snowing. There was no way down. I got out, and somehow, however I got to this spot, I'm hurting. That's the reason I'm trying to move about. I saw that I was next to a little stream, and down, you could actually see over the mountain down to way down in the valley, way down there. You could see a home. I'm talking about how do you maneuver through there. So I thought, if I start up one mountain, I can't get up it, I'm going to freeze. So I've got to get out of it. I can't get back to the shelter. So, and there's no trail, so the only way out was over the mountain where I'm sitting and down a creek. So by the time I got down that creek, my feet were frozen. I'd left my tent up there, but I had my backpack and stove, and sleeping bag. So I got down to the bottom, and that was hell. I was frozen. And I finally made it to the house that I had seen. And I don't know how I found that, really. But I got to it, and I got in. They called the emergency rescue unit. And I remember the man asked me, he said, are you sure you want us to call them? Well, I said, yeah, because I didn't know what I was going to do. They didn't offer to help me find a room or anything. And everybody around here knows about it, knew about me and all of it. Believe me, they do. He didn't offer, so they called and they've got a home you should see. Oh, wow. And I ended up being taken to the Carillion Hospital, emergency room, and I stayed there a long time. And they pretend they're being good to me. And they bring me 2 meals, which I haven't had, not used to. Next thing I know, I got the cop and security guard handcuffing me. I've got they've taken my clothes. I don't even have shoes, except little, I forgot what they were. You can't leave in them. I'm handcuffed and taken to the mental. And, by the way, they kept my little stove, which gives you, what kind of game do they think they're playing? They're being nice to keep a propane kept stove at Carillion Hospital while they haul me off to the mental ward. I'm going to skip what happened to me. I'm so terrified. I ended up out at Catawba, which is the state. I could have been sent to a worse one at Marion. So I'm given Halidol, and I am praying to die. I thought, they are really going to kill me here now. Well, they didn't give it to me. The doctor, that was pre-planned. I don't know how you pre-plan it with a storm and all that, but it was. While I was out there, it's still hell. I wasn't given any more drugs. The food was nice. I got to say that. I'm going to have to stop this in a minute. Supposedly, all the records I had to sign where all this had happened to me were brought in there. Now then, I got out of there, and part of the release of getting out of there is that you have a place to go where they find you one. They didn't. They dropped me off at the library 2 weeks later, and I remember she gave me, the one that dropped me off, $10. I got a cab, and I went right back out to where I'd been because I had nowhere else to go. And that in itself was another hell. But this is what they've used the mental health system to kill me.